Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are gonna be ending the narration for the 3rd anniversary side story, Ideal City Endless Carnival. And considering this is the final part of the narration for this side story, let me say a couple of things here at the beginning before we get into the actual story itself. So, first of all, considering this is the final part, the final boss stage will, as per usual, be included into today's narration, which, funnily enough, will be the very first thing that we're going to begin the episode with once I get into the stages, considering Stage 9 literally begins with a battle and then ends with the story portion. That's just how it is. Technically a first on the channel as well. Outside of that, considering this is also the final part, as per usual, or rather, as I've done with a couple of final episodes recently on the channel, I will also include the official EP for this event. The music video that was released a couple of days ago, actually, on the official Arknights channel as well. So it will be on screen, and the link to the song and the video will be in the description of the video itself. So feel free to go and watch it yourself if you want to. It is a very adorable music video, is all I'm gonna say if you haven't seen it yet. Pretty much done in the same style as the opening CG for this event has been done as well. Outside of that as well, at the end of the episodes, I will just go over what's going to be next on the channel, considering this narration is done. So pretty much like a small little overview for the coming week and a half, you could say. And yeah, just in general voice my thoughts on the story as I usually do at the end. But let's, per usual, do the recap of the previous part very quickly. So for those of you who just want to jump ahead, just hit the timestamp as per usual in the comment section below, and that will bring you directly into the stages. But on the last part, we have been pretty much immediately at the start of the previous part been introduced to the fact that yes, we are indeed reading an Arknight story, as we've started the story off, and for the good half of it, we went with goofs, laughs, and drinks all around, and we suddenly ended up at, well, we were all at the beach, we were all having fun, everybody was getting drunk, and then on the other side of the lake, on that lone beach next to the tunnel that everybody wants to get to, there was a dark little figure sitting in like a fetal position, waving back at the people on the other beach, on the other side of the lake, with a crooked head to the side, just going, "How's it going, everybody? Have you missed me? It's me, Originium." But sorry about that. You can thank that voice to Matthew Mercer and the voice of Pate is all I'm gonna say. Look it up if you haven't heard that before or seen that before. But yeah, we have been very quickly introduced to the fact that on the other side, in the very tunnel that has been closed off by the earthquake, and that Gavial herself literally opened up again just enough so that 2x2 people can actually pass through it. Once it was open, Edge and Elysium went in to check out what is going on, and about a kilometer in, they have discovered that the Originium vein that was originally already known, but was about 3 kilometers away, if I remember correctly, from the city, has now encroached very close. Close enough and very active. That thing is gonna blow in less than a month from what they are concluding, which prompts the citywide broadcasts to inform the citizens that they will be having to leave the city in some way or fashion, which has yet to fully be decided, as we're gonna see in today's episode. But pretty much the Durins react in a very interesting way compared to the people on the surface who are terrified of Originium catastrophes and everything. These people know what is happening. They are very well aware that they need to move, They have no real qualms about it, and they have a little thing where they pretty much dress up the entire city to prepare for its, well, final days, which is, as prompted in the story as well, quite a romantic thing to do, actually. But yeah, they will prepare the city for its final moments, dress it up as neatly as possible, refurbish stuff if need be, repair the dome, hopefully, and in some way or fashion, leave the city. Currently, there are 3 options on the table, one being to slowly shove people 2 by 2 through the tunnel and move them to their closest neighboring city, or dig in the opposite direction, create a shelter and put everybody in, or expand the already existing lift that doesn't go fully to the surface but to the cave system above, and leave for the surface. And today we'll see how the forum will decide on that whole spiel. But the situation is tense. Stitch is he's being a moody little guy and is hiding away in a old house near the beach. And Gavial decided to invite herself into the house. Didn't matter if he said no or yes. She busted that wall, including the door down, and she just entered. And we left pretty much off right then and there as she was trying to pick up Stitch, but the robots, who have been ordered to protect Stitch, have decided to intervene. So, let's go into today's part. And now, as I said, we will begin directly on stage 9, which is a battle stage, and it says here, above the dome. At the end of the final battle, pan the camera toward the sky, just right for Zeruerza. And obviously we have a boss here on the stage. I'll say this was annoying to deal with. If not the enemies who can already 100% physical dodge weren't annoying, this thing is another thing. But it says here, Materialist Antagonizer. Yep, that's the enemy name, or rather the drone. Construction machinery attempting to protect Stitch canvas under the mistaken impression that he is about to be attacked. Before explaining what's actually going on, let's settle things with a test of strength first. Now, I really hope this will go smoothly, considering this can go any other way, and I got annoyed enough of this stage because I just wanted to record this, so I just put very high level characters in. Everything else I've dealt with very low level characters. But yeah, this is the stage. I will let it slow down once the big drone appears and let it play out until the drone dies. But until then, speed up. And here comes the drone. I know it's not very visible here because the top layer gets obstructed when in autoplay mode, but yeah, this thing is shooting lasers and it's stunning people all around the whole map. And I've tested this out just to see if this works. Considering I beat this map with the squad I had since stage 1. And for some reason this map, even though I beat it with the same group, every time I hit autoplay for it, it failed. It kept failing. So I have no idea what went right the first time. It was probably just a random lucky hit on something. But yeah, the drone just died, as you've seen up there. And Stitch fell out of it, and he is dazed. He's now gonna proceed to run around the middle of the map, and you pretty much have that time span, because he cannot be blocked, from what I've noticed, until he runs around to actually bring his HP down to 0. Otherwise, he will enter the gate there in the middle, in the sus, and you pretty much lose 2 health on the gate. Also, if anyone is asking why did I place there one of Nightingale's little decoys, well, the drone either dies there at the top or it dies there at the bottom. It's one of two. That's why also Schwartz turned her 3rd skill on when Stitch went past her, way past her. Also, can I just add that I love the fact that when it happens this way, I love that Pozemka is literally the one who knocks the shit out of him. She was the last one to hit Stitch and knock the shit out of him. Love it. Poetic. Alright, but that is pretty much it for the battle stage, so we will now continue with the narration. As soon as these two die. Thank you. Okay, who gets the splash screen? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Is that lucky? I guess. Anyway, we will now continue with the after story for this stage. Now that you mention it, this is starting to ring a bell. A few years ago, I participated in a couple dome design contests with him and Catch. Master Finch had just left not too long ago before that, and our rising new stars both wanted to prove themselves with their dome renovation plans. Catch was an incessant one at the meetings. He kept selling his ideas and the advantages of his design. As for Stitch, all he ever did was lay his designs on the table before standing aside. It seemed kind of like he wanted rather we see his ideas for ourselves instead of wasting his energy to explain them. Some preferred Catch's detailed way of thinking, while others acknowledged Stitch's confidence, even egotism towards his own work. Both of them were undoubtedly rising stars. This rivalry continued for several years, and neither of them was able to truly obtain the recognition of the majority and get his designs passed, until one day when Stitch stopped showing up.
Finch actually brought it up to me before, back when he was still around. He told me he was worried about his students' future. But those problems you can fix by talking sense into him. He has to think things through himself and set his ego aside. Only then will he hear another opinion. Otherwise, forget Catch. Not even someone as strong as Gavial could do anything about him.
Not even if Gavial really wanted to help him from the bottom of her heart?
If there was a way around it, Finch would have tried it a long time ago. But who knows? Catch and Gavial couldn't be more different, personality-wise. If the two of them tried to help him together, a miracle might just happen.
These are Zumama's friends. It's such a pain when I can't just wreck them. Oh, okay. You guys know Zumama, right? I'm her friend. Zumama. Confirming identity. Zumama's friend, Gavial. Zumama told us we can't hurt Gavial. We won't hurt Gavial.
What?
I saw you guys chumming together and thought you were really hitting it off. Didn't expect mentioning her name to actually do anything.
And he books it.
Help me surround him, won't you? We cannot allow Zuerta citizens come to harm. Relax, I'm just taking him where he should be. Understood. We trust Gavial. We will help Gavial.
Out of my way.
Stitch canvas. I've got something to ask you.
I have nothing more to say to you.
You've said plenty, but in the end, do you hate the people of Zeruerza? No, you don't have to answer. If you hated them, then you should have stayed on the surface after you made it there. You could have hit the danger your tribe is facing. But you told us anyway. You didn't want to fix the dome, but you couldn't give this place up. That's why you brought Tomimi and Inam down here.
Yeah, so what?
I'm just curious. Have you ever talked to the ones who voted against you and asked them why they didn't like your proposal?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I thought so. Just like you definitely haven't ever told anyone the stuff you just said. And actually, you still haven't told me how you truly feel. I know, some things are difficult to bring up. I have lots of patients who would rather die than open up. They don't want to make trouble for people. They don't think anyone understands them, or they're just too stubborn to actually say it. You name it, I've seen it. But whatever the deal is, if you keep it to yourself all the way to the day you die, no one's going to know. I'm not gonna say you've done anything wrong, but I need you to give it a shot.
How I really feel? Not even I know how I really feel anymore.
Then I've gotta at least... Huh?
Gavial, wait please. Catch, what are you doing here? The forum is dead silent. All of the Durins are attentively listening to Avdotia tell her story. Though her story starts off warm, it slowly deteriorates into something more sinister as it progresses. When the story gets going, the audience holds their collective breaths, only for Avdotia to explain how she survived, sending out a collective sigh of relief. But that's only where it starts. It's the beginning of her hardships and tribulations, and she goes through much more as she recounts the story.
When I reached the end of the cave, for a moment I thought my eyes were deceiving me. Had it not been a golden shining lift, I would have mistaken it for a staircase carrying me to death. At that very moment, I even felt joy. I thought my hardships were coming to an end. I thought I could enjoy a moment of respite within death's embrace. I never expected that lift would open the door to a new life. And that was everything I went through before I made it underground. This is the life of the surface that I can share with you. It's hardly what you call a wonderful one. But looking back, it wasn't actually as hard as I remember it. Anyway, I'm sure that the smarter ones among you already know what I'm getting at. It's true. Based on our discussions, we've arrived at 3 possible evacuation plans. First, we could evacuate via the tunnels. According to the calculations, even if we start evacuating right now as quickly as we can, we will likely only be able to evacuate 70% of our population to our sibling city on the other end before the explosion. If that is the plan we are going with, we must start immediately without delay. The second plan would require us to immediately use all our resources to excavate in the opposite direction of the tunnel. In other words, dig toward a hole on the other side and open up a safe shelter for our temporary refuge. As it stands, this proposal gives us a higher survival rate than the previous one, but the tunnel is our only connection to the other cities. The disaster will destroy most of our facilities, and under those circumstances, let's not mention the issue of whether this newly excavated shelter will be able to hold everyone in the city. Even if we manage to save everyone, it's questionable that we would last much longer after a disaster strikes. As for the third proposal, it takes us to the surface. The industrial representative estimates that after a short extension, the lift will be able to take everyone in the city to the caves above before the explosion happens. The guests who arrived not too long ago are from the lands directly above Zeruerza. That area is a lush rainforest named Akahuala, and as their administrators, they are willing to provide all Zeruerzans living space and other assistance. When the crisis is over, after we settle down, we can choose to return to this place or make other arrangements. So far, the third proposal carries the least risk and is the most likely to keep everyone alive. However, we must make a decision that might just be unprecedented for the Durin people. We must head for the surface. That is also the reason why I told you my story. We still have other options available, and I don't want to influence your decision. Allow my story to help you determine for yourselves. Okay, per usual, we will vote on the 3 proposals in 10 minutes.
I have something I need to talk to you, pardon. I have something I need to talk to Stitch about.
Alright.
Stitch, isn't it just perfect that you're in charge of the dome? You're the design representative, and everyone loves you. In charge of the new dome design, everyone's going to be happy with the result. This rivalry we've had for all these years, you've won it fair and square. Oh, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to say goodbye. What? You see, I've actually been acting design representative since Master Finch left us, and after I took up the burden, I gradually began to think that maybe my skills weren't up to the task. Actually, I've been thinking about leaving to look for Master Finch. I mean, he's the only one who can really be our design representative. And after I'm gone, as his disciple, you're the most suitable one to take the job. I just went back to the design department and handed my work over to the others, and I'm ready to get my things packed and leave. But why now? I heard we're all going to the surface. I caught Avdotia's speech when I passed by the forum just now. I'm sure the proposal will end up passing. But Master Finch should be hiding out in some other Durin city. That's why, while it's still possible, I want to settle down in the one next door before I figure out my next steps. So, sorry buddy, I probably won't get to help with the dome's design. You think I'd be happy about this? Of course not. But I really think you are up to the task. All you need is a chance to let people get to know you seriously. How dare you? In his anger, Stitch raises his fist against Catch, but it stops in its tracks mid-air before falling down powerlessly. I know Master Finch left because he wanted me to become independent, and I know you're doing this because you want me to give it another shot. Gavial too. I know all of you are doing this out of the kindness of your hearts. Of course I know. But, Master Finch, you and Gavial, why do you have to force me down this path? Why can't all of you just leave me alone? Why can't you just let me keep hiding? Why do all of you have to be so kind? Why? Catch quietly picks up the design sketch next to him and hands it to Stitch. Because you tried so hard. You can do much better, I know it. Since when do you need a reason to be kind?
And since when do you need a reason to want to keep someone from falling like that? Now, get up. Stop crying. First, you lied to my tribesmen, and now you're making trouble for all kinds of people. So, I'm going to sock you. Grit your teeth. It won't hurt too bad. Stitch looks at Gavial's fist. In an instant, many things flashed through his mind. The joy he felt when he listened to his teacher's lectures. The hatred he felt when his teacher left. The disappointment he felt every time he walked out of the design department after losing a design contest. Before he knew it, whenever he looked at the dome above him, it was anger that he felt, not excitement. He thought the feeling was his alone, and that not only could no one understand him, he did not need to be understood by anyone. But at this very moment, now that he's finally learned that there are those who truly want to understand him and help him, he realizes that perhaps it is time to set that something down. He then thinks to himself, he should take this punch. Bam! Yet even though he was anticipating the pain, he doesn't feel a thing. He looks down to find a deep, fist-sized pit in the table. Ha! Now you're scared. Relax, my fist's only for the bad guys. You're not a bad guy. You're just a knucklehead. Why should I beat you up? So, can we apply this to the doctor as well? Or are we gonna keep getting punched? Probably getting punched. You're the knucklehead. Well, look at you, in such a good mood that you can still talk back, huh? So, how about it? Wanna come along now? Fine. Okay, let us proceed with the voting. If you are voting for the first proposal, please raise your hand. A sparse number of hands goes up around the forum. Those with their hands up appear very calm, as though they've made up their minds, even though they know there will be many people voting for this measure. And Avdotia knows that those who would vote for this proposal are always the ones who are willing to give their lives. Record keeper, please record the number of votes for the first proposal. Okay, please put your hands down. If you are voting for the second proposal, please raise your hand. This time there are a lot of people with their hands up. Some of them even have bottles in them. Most of them have rather sturdy builds. Undoubtedly, they are very confident in their excavation skills. Record keeper, please record the number of votes for the second proposal. Okay, please put your hands down. If you are voting for the third proposal, please raise your hand. The forum is dead silent. No one has a hand up. Avdotia knows that this outcome is only to be expected. Heading to the surface is a big decision, and her speech alone could hardly be enough to persuade them. When she looks at the Durins whispering amongst themselves, she knows that her story has no effect on them. The Durins are not afraid. All they need is an opportunity. They still need a push. She also feels guilt deep in her heart. The old her definitely would have been leading the opposition against moving to the surface. But now she's doing other Durin's work for this. Her guilty feelings quickly disappear as she knows she's doing what is right. I have a few things to add about going to the surface. Akahuala is a humid rainforest. It is hot there, no matter the time of the year. Even without any temperature control, we should still be able to get used to life there. Besides, Akahuala is rich in lake water resources and is home to a natural waterfall. In other words, it's an all-new great aqua pit. Furthermore, Akahuala also has a large amount of mineral resources and land. If we wish to, we can build a new city there. Of course, we will also have the pride of Zerwerza, a new landmark that will once again put smiles on everyone's faces. Though we will have to discuss this with Akahuala's leader before we can make a decision. Inam will agree to it. Gavial? Hey, Avdotia, look who I brought here. Who is it? It's Stitch. I see you guys are pretty much done with that discussion, so the dome repairs next, right? Guess I came just at the right time. You came at a terrible time. Oh, alright. I mean, I may not be the leader of Akahuala, but let me say this on her behalf. Akahuala welcomes you all. Get off the stage. Hey. Hey, I got more to say. No way. She just shoves her off. Boof. It's true, Gavial and the surface dwellers are all interesting. Word. Besides, not only are they kind, they're strong too. Making friends with them sounds like a fine idea. I think so too. Besides, they've got a bigger aqua pit in Akahuala. What could be better? Well, let's calm down and think it through. This is going to affect the future of the whole Durin race. I don't see anything wrong with that future though. Right, I'm with ya. I mean, even though a lot of bad things happened on the surface in Avdotia's story, just like we've always heard. But if all those bad things shaped Avdotia into the kind person that she is, I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. Besides, I have heard rumors that Stranger Things is still running on the surface. Gavial, do you know how much time and effort I spent to prepare for this moment? What if they decide to stay down here because you had to butt in? But I just took a look around and all of them seem to be looking forward to it. They're gonna vote for it. You persuaded them already. How can you always be so optimistic?
By the way, Gavial, how is Stitch doing?
He says he's willing to give it a shot. Where did he go?
I saw him in the forum. That's why I'm asking. And looking at him now, it looks like he's really going to do it. Let me give him a hand then. The crowd in the forum is bubbling with talk of going to the surface. This seems to have nothing to do with him. He should have gone inside with Gavial. He has never been comfortable with situations like this to begin with. But he stays where he is. He knows he isn't afraid. He knows that there is an urge inside of him to say something. But he has no idea how to begin. Right, I have a piece of regrettable news I forgot to share. After he learned of Zerwerza's disaster, our designer representative, Catch Lightrace, has decided to resign from his position and part ways with us for the moment. He's going to seek out our previous design representative, Master Finch Canvas, whose whereabouts are unknown. I understand and respect his decision. Furthermore, before he left, he appointed Master Finch's disciple, Stitch Canvas, to take his position. And I know better than anyone that Stitch Canvas is a talented architect, which is why I accepted this request. Now, let's invite him up here to say a few words. Stitch, the floor is yours.
I'm aware you don't really know who I am, just that my teacher is the famous Finch Canvas. My style is very different from my teacher's. He's more about resisting materialism, while mine is more leaning toward... Sorry, that's not what I wanted to say. I want to talk about the proposal, the one about going to the surface. I know this isn't an easy decision to make, but I think it's the safest option available. And if we choose this plan, we will still have time to dress our doomed city. There's not much time. There's not much that I can do, but I'm willing to spend the last bit of time we have to come up with a plan to repair the dome. And if at all possible, I want to make the dome even sturdier. Even though it's impossible to keep an active Originium vein from exploding, that should still buy us some time. So please, everyone, let's head to the surface. I'm sure my teacher would have wanted it too. The audience is silent. Stitch saying quietly, "Master Edge, did I say something wrong?" "No, you did well. Good kid. I knew you could do it." "Very well then, let's take the votes again for the third proposal." As though Stitch's speech has unified their opinions, the very next moment the Durins start raising their hands one by one. All of them are chanting something different. Stitch is unable to make it out, but he can just barely hear some of them complimenting him. He notices that on a platform high up above in the distance, Catch is faintly waving to seemingly congratulate him. It feels as though an electric current suddenly surges through him. For the first time, he realizes just how exhilarating it feels to be acknowledged. Alright then, and let's go to the final scene of this story, titled Paradise Lost. A late letter, a designer learning to open his heart, and a bunch of guys who are not sad at all, but rather looking to have some fun. A few days later, Stitch is working hard at the forum again today. Just like the journey to the surface, the dressing of the city is a task that requires the supervision of all the citizens. And as the face of the city, the dome's renovation is naturally the most important task. Which is why it is also necessary for the design tasks to be done in the forum, where everyone can see. And as Master Edge claims, it also saves time. That darned old man, he's definitely having me do this because he thinks it's funny. Noticing Edge's smug look below, Stitch finds himself immediately incensed. However, not even he himself expects to adapt so quickly to these work conditions. When he has to take questions from passerby, when he has to hear opinions, and even when he stands up and defends his beliefs in an argument, none of that actually carries as much pressure as he thought it would. With Edge grinning away at him, Stitch is definitely irritated, but he also knows what people must be thinking about him. Just like how they must know what he is thinking. That little runt. He's had more arguments than I could count these past few days. Just because someone dared to give him some feedback, he had to argue for the better part of the day. Still, the work he's turning in is impeccable. Finch, I don't know where in the world you've tromped off to, but you can rest easy now. Oh, right. Stitch! What is it? I'm working here. Somebody found a letter at the top of the dome while it was being inspected. A letter? Yep, and it's for you. No way. I am Fitch Canvas, the Zerwertz's greatest architectural designer. I placed this letter at the top of the dome. I am sure that the one who opens it will be the next person to renovate it. I hope that he is my dearest student. This letter is for him. However, if you are not him, then please do not give him this letter, as that would mean he has failed. Sorry, Catch. If only I were more like you. Everyone's personality is different, and I can understand the way you think too. All I can say is, if I'd found out a little sooner, maybe things could have turned out different. You're allowed to stay, you know? It's fine. It feels like I did something terrible to you. Not at all, Elysium. I really appreciate your suggestion. It's true that I made this decision to give him that push at first, but I also really want to seek out Master Finch. I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear how Stitch is doing. Well, you've made it plenty hard for me to know what to say here. Speaking of which, it sounds like this Master Finch really cares about his student. I have a hunch that he might just have gone to the surface to seek a cure for Ripathy. After I leave, I will try my best to track him down too. Perhaps he will one day find his way to Rhode Island. I want to stop here for a second and look at this cheeky bastard's freaking face and that wink while he's saying this goddamn sentence. It's like, wink, wink. Dear reader, you might see him one day. Wink, wink. He might be joining up with Rhode Island. Wink, wink, wink. If he winks any harder, his fucking eye's gonna pop up. Anyway. Oh, now there's a plan. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah, we'll meet again. I know I want to help out when we finally rebuild Zeruerza. And when the time comes, I'm going to work together with Stitch to put out some amazing designs. Oh god. Like a statue of me? Well, maybe not that. A shame. First, I must apologize to you for my departure. But if I had not left, knowing you, you would never become truly independent. Alright, truth be told, if I decided to stay, I wouldn't have known how to stop caring for you. You have a gift. Oripathy has greatly limited your lifespan, but at the same time, it has made you see life in a more profound way. Thanks to this, your style has greatly transformed for the better. I can tell. Here we go, let's put it together. Our job today is to blow all the caverns in this area. You hear that, Yogi? Yes, brother. Yuta, did you have to start working this early? What are you talking about, Inam? This is a mission Gavial gave us herself. She saved my life. If I could, I would dig through the earth to meet her right now and check how she's been doing. She'll still be alive and kicking well after you're dead. Haha, that's for sure. Right, I'll be leaving tomorrow to meet the Pasha and discuss the Lord Amir business. So, starting tomorrow, Zumama's in charge. Got it? How about I come with you then? Didn't you say the Pasha is a pain to deal with? For you, yeah. The Pasha would grind you in until there's nothing left. Don't worry, I haven't been a messenger all these years for nothing. Alright, Zumama, I'll leave this to you. Don't worry. We've installed the Mountain Breaker Mark III on the Raging Ironhide. That'll put its efficiency up threefold. You could even leave me this whole place. Sometimes I feel like you're even scarier than Gavial. At the same time, this has made your style more and more extreme. And the more you stood firm with your style, the more you despised working with others. This worried me. By the way, Avdotia, what are you going to do once you make it to the surface? What else can I do? You can't believe I will settle down for a life on land just because of the speech I gave? Once Zeruerza is rebuilt, I will be back. Is there a problem? Right, actually, this only just came back to me, but I made a promise to Inam. We agreed that if I ever went to the surface, I would do business with her, and she would also introduce me to a place called Rhode Island. But I don't know much about the surface, so I told her you would be our middleman, and I could learn from you. So that means you sold me to her? I'm sorry, but I really want to try doing business on the surface. Please help me out. Okay, I tried to do this in her voice when I was reading through this earlier, and Croquet, Diamond Face. Didn't I tell you not to drink? I'm really, really sorry. When aloofness yields no results, it only devolves into misconception. It tells you that it isn't your fault that others don't understand you. It tells you that others are in the wrong for not understanding your work. But sometimes that couldn't be further from the truth. You can of course hold on to the way you think. However, if your line of thought is really so fine and exquisite, shouldn't you try your best to share it all the more? Phew, this pillar will look just fine here. I didn't expect them to want to renovate the forum too. The Durins are a thorough bunch, aren't they? Gavial. Do you realize that you are making history? Is that right? The Durins have lived underground for ages without making any large-scale effort at communicating with the world on the surface. Yet your choices have persuaded an entire city to relocate to the surface all at once. Who would have thought that Akahuala would be the first place to know such an intimate level of exchange with a Durin city and its people? And when future generations look back, it will probably never occur to them that this all happened because of an offhand idea you came up with. Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. But there's nothing wrong with that, is there? There's of course nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is, history is always like that, Gavial. It might have been an accident that the Durins were able to put down roots underground too. This goes to show that perhaps history is nothing to be revered or feared, just like the Akahualan tradition that you so easily destroyed. No, I'm not so sure about that. I think people who know their history pretty great. Like Dr. Kaltzit, she knows history like the back of her hand. Kaltzit? I could count the number of times we've dealt with each other on one hand, but she might be the one person in the world who... she might be the one person in the whole world who takes history the lightest. Also, I would like to stop here just for one smidge of a moment. This is quite a loaded sentence. I could count the number of times we've dealt with each other on one hand. And I'm not talking about the hand here. I'm talking about this little blue bird who is clearly, as stated by himself, around for more than a millennia at this point, at least, says, I could count the number of times we've dealt with each other when regarding to Kaltzit. Now, obviously, it could be also meaning that he just dealt with her when going maybe possibly with Eunectus to Rhode Island. But considering what has so far been thrown about everywhere about Kaltzit herself, and potentially her possible age and speculations of what she could be, that is a loaded sentence. That is a freaking loaded sentence, alright. Anyway, continuing. Is that right? Of course. And I suspect the way she goes about it might even be a kind of helplessness. The kind that comes from knowing nothing can be done. Now then, let's change the subject. No, don't change the subject, talk more! The mama told me that you wavered in your decision, but you persisted with it nonetheless, and that you plan to continue doing so as much. Yeah, I mean, they all told me that they'll help me. Speaking of, you're gonna stick with us till the end, right, old man? Oh, look at you. Won't even give an old man a break. It's probably obvious that I'm very happy to be researching technology with Zamama. But did you know that the longer you live, the harder it is to find direction? I'm not sure I get it. Well, that's good. That's what I like about you. Keep going down the path you're on. I'm curious just how far you'll make it. So, how come you're here to talk to me instead of following Zumama around? Well, naturally, that's because she kicked me out. I told her the Durin machines are nowhere near as cute as the big ugly thing, and she got mad at me. How could she be this protective of her new friends? Now I'm mad too. Oh. There are certain things that you will never understand until you experience them yourself. And so I am leaving you with a problem. Until you become the next design representative, and until you manage to persuade all of Zeruerza that your work has a profound meaning within, I will leave your side and you are not allowed to come look for me. We are architects, and our job is to provide designs that satisfy the masses. You will come to understand that this is the greatest challenge you will ever face. Not a design flaw, not a construction problem, but rather something as simple as being persuasive. Whoa, Tomini, you feel that? Yeah, it's shaking. I'm surprised we can still feel it even though we've taken the lift all the way up here. Those are some huge tremors. But all these Zeruerzans has made it to the surface, every last one of them. Yeah, everyone's done a great job. You okay? I told you to drop the tough act, but you had to be the last one to leave the city. What inspiration can you get from watching it crumble away? You wouldn't understand even if I told you. That was the final moment of an entire city. It simply overwhelmed me with emotion. Master, this might be impossibly difficult, but I will give it my best shot. And you, little whelp, what are you mumbling to yourself? He looks exhausted. Well, can you blame him? He's been working really hard. Not only did he actually manage to design the thing, he went to the construction site every day and even insisted on being the last one out. A while back, I wouldn't have expected him to be such a responsible guy. Yeah, I'm starting to see him in a different light too. Alright, let's go. We're the last ones. Everyone's waiting for us. How come Gavial isn't back yet? She didn't get into trouble, did she? Don't jinx it. She's here. Now where is Avdotia? I'm eager to see that waterfall. You could go on ahead. Now that won't do. This is a... how do you say this? Right, a historic moment. A large crowd of Durins and Tiakau have gathered in front of the mine. They're all waiting for the last group to ride the elevator to the surface. Wearing her usual smile, Gavial steps out with Stitch in tow, sorry. I just thought she's just carrying him like baggage. Love it. She raises her right hand and greets the crowd, all of whom are beaming. Today's a good day, everybody. Let's head to the lake for some fun. Before she can finish her sentence, the crowd has already erupted in cheers. Today, Akahuala is a tad bit more lively than before. And in the future, it might get even livelier. And that, everybody, is a thumbnail. But there we go. That is the whole side story. Now, I say whole side story. I don't know if on the... what was it again? On the 20th, I believe? Right? Yeah, on the 20th. No idea if on the 20th, when the EX stages opens, there's going to be any kind of extra scenes or whatever that open up with them. There aren't always scenes included with EX stages, but if there's gonna be anything with them, I will obviously narrate those and include them like a small little bonus episode, entitle them appropriately so it's distinguishable, obviously. But yeah, Let me quickly go over what is to come on the channel before we just plaster the EP on the screen. So, first off, considering this is now done, the next few days, the last two things that are left from this patch to upload to the channel would be the operator record for Gavial that I haven't opened yet myself, obviously. I open them when I record them anyway. So expect that one to come out tomorrow after this video goes live. So a day after, roughly. And then there is one more operator record after Gavial's, which is going to be the one for Operator Flint. Because Flint also got an operator record, just didn't get around to actually record it itself. But usually operators like Gavial, who are massively tied to the story, I keep for later because I don't want to spoil myself, because just for those of you who have seen it or read it, Ebenholz's, for example, operator record and Hibiscus's record were super major spoilers to to the Lingering Echo story. Ebenholz's specifically was a major spoiler. If you read that first before you read the story, you're pretty much spoiled on the ending. But yeah, didn't want to open it until now, as per usual, so that one will go up roughly tomorrow after this video goes live. But in the meantime, I'm probably gonna also work on a couple of, at least 2 module stories to add to the already big pile of module stories, because there was a bunch of them added this patch as well. So I'll see what I can dig up and what who might seem interesting, let's put it that way. And the next big thing on the channel is gonna be the next part for the narration of the main story, aka the second part for the Chapter 9 narration. And after that, considering this event will be still with us for a whole 2 weeks, I believe, as of this recording, and when this episode goes live, I think it's 2 more weeks. And I'm actually not sure what comes after this. I think it's either the next contingency contracts or a rerun of something. I'm not sure, actually. Now that, considering that the timeline to the releases on the Chinese client side are out of whack now, because this jumped ahead. No idea what comes next. But over the weekend I will look at the schedule of things that should be coming and see what stories were potentially relevant to the coming stories in the future, and maybe Sunday-ish on YouTube side post a poll with like 2 or 3 options. So feel free to vote on the next narration story, because there's gonna be a lot of blank space for a while until the next thing gets released. So will give me something to do in the meantime. But in the meantime, after the next main story episode gets released, the channel will probably follow the usual stuff with the file narrations and more module stories, I guess, because I can do those now. But yeah, my thoughts about the story, coming back to that. If it wasn't clear from all the giggling in the first half of the story, and now at the very end here as well, very fun story that suddenly reminded us, as I said at the beginning of today's part, that yes, this is still an Arknight story. Oripathy or rather Originium is there, and it's always rearing its ugly tiny crystalline head out of a corner, just greeting us all with, "Hey, how's it going?" But yeah, very fun story. Was fun seeing finally something where Gavial is doing a bit more than what she did originally in... I remember very little from what she did in The Great Chief Returns, outside of towards the very end of the story. But yeah, it was nice seeing Gavial do her thing. Nice hearing why people are following her and are having so much respect for her. It was also nice seeing pretty much almost the entire, almost the entire cast of The Great Chief the Great Chief Return story pop up here as well and be very present and stuff. And seeing a lot of characters also, well, a lot of characters, Tomimi at least, for some reason received a skin that apparently will never be a skin in the shop, which makes me sad, because it's very adorable. But yeah, it was nice seeing also how the Durins live, at least in this resort city, which makes me even more curious how they live in other cities, considering that I am definitely expecting them to be, personality-wise, pretty much the same as they are here. Tiny bit less alcohol, but who knows? I would love to see. I hope there's gonna be future stories, or at least one more future story, because they do leave a couple of things here open. I mean, like I said earlier, freaking Elysium literally winks at the screen telling us, hey, the guy might appear at Rhode Island at some point. Wink, 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 wink. Fucking Elysium. Also, can we quickly address Elysium? And I'm not talking about the skin and shit. I'm talking about how many side stories and also the main story. He is present everywhere. It feels like in the recent couple of months, this guy has been everywhere. Like, he has been a figure in the Stultifera story. I think there was some story beforehand where he also appeared for a brief while. And considering I was doing the narration for the main story also over the literal half past year, he's obviously also present there very profoundly towards the end of the story, but he doesn't get much screen time there. But still, nice seeing him, I guess, in a lot of stuff. But interesting, very interesting. But yeah, a lot of stuff has also been said about, well, said, not directly said, but kind of mentioned about Originium and how the Durin people deal with it in general. Nice to see that there are more people, not just the people who live up in the Akahualan jungle, who are like, well, what does it matter if you're infected or not? We're still buddies. We're still gonna keep on living together and shit. And the Durins are pretty much the same. They understand how Ripathy works, compared to the fear mongering on the surface and the entire hate towards the infected in pretty much every freaking corner of the world. But here, below the surface and above the surface, people are just like, eh, it's fine, whatever. We know what has to be done anyway when you pass because of it. We'll deal with it. But also, interestingly, the Durins do have apparently their own version of medicine and potentially inhibitors that slow down the spreads of Originium, similar to what Rhode Island has developed, which is interesting. Then the High Priest has to spew a couple of sentences here and there about stuff. Always cryptic. The long-lived ones in this game are always cryptic. And they're always leaving breadcrumbs for the bigger picture of things, aren't they? But yeah, overall, I'll say probably had way more fun reading through this side story when it comes to like comedic effect, at least, than through the second anniversary side story. Second anniversary was pretty decent as well. Had a couple of probably the best part about that one was the continuous bickering between Shen and Lin. Was probably the best part about that story. But this one was way more interesting, and it was mostly because of where it took place and seeing a completely new culture and how they live. Even though it was a resort town, still seeing and reading about how they react to crises and stuff like that is nice. It's very nice to put them on the map finally. But yeah, hopefully this will have, well, not this necessarily, but would be nice if in the future there will be some kind of follow-up story to the Durin and another city and maybe more. Also, I want to quickly point out how terrifying the idea sounds of Durin mobile underground cities. While it sounds amazing, I'm just thinking about how devastating that whole shit would be on the surface if Durin cities would actually be able to dig and move themselves underground and just keep hollowing out the freaking earth below below the surface. Freaking sinkholes everywhere at some point. But interesting that they have actually thought about that, right? Also terrifying. Very terrifying to see actual Durin cities that are not resort towns, how they fare technology-wise. But yeah, interesting little story. Character developments were pretty interesting. Especially Stitch. Stitch was a moody little guy, but definitely towards the end of the story was great seeing him open up and face the stuff that he that he was running away from. But yeah, interesting. So anyway, we will now proceed into the aforementioned music video. Like I said, if you are listening still at this point and there will be no music video at the end, it will be linked in the description of the video, because if I upload this thing to the to YouTube and I see a copyright claim on it, I will probably have to take the video down before I make it public and cut that part out. So yeah, just FYI. So you know if there is nothing after I stop talking here. But anyway, considering we're going to do that now, I hope you enjoyed this narration. Like I said, over the weekend I'll probably gonna post a poll of maybe 2 or 3 options for the next side story to narrate, which could be important for future stuff. I have one idea so far, but I'm gonna see if I can dig up another one which might be important for another story that's coming in the future. But anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for leaving comments on the episode so far, and always love that engagement and talk to you guys. So, in the meantime, if you're still pulling for Gavial and Pozemka, I wish you the best of luck. If you've already have them, congrats. If you don't have them yet, good luck if you're still gonna try. But in the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. Hope you had a bunch of laughs as much as I did during this story. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.